We remove the barriers of entry, whereby if I was, say, another chain, I would require people to need to download a wallet. I would require them to need to go to a faucet, claim money for a faucet, save their seed phrase, switch to the testnet network. But in this case, it's easy.
So why did you burn a Banksy?
It was about 3 years ago at this point, right? It was okay. So first of all, different time, right? So NFTs were just not what they are now. It was crypto kitties and it was crypto punks, and like that was kind of it. There was like Zed Horse, I think, maybe at the time, but I loved my crypto kitties and I had a few punks back in the day, and and so my family and friends were all didn't understand what the hell NFTs were and was like, well, if there's no value there, right? Like if it's not on my wall, it's not my living room, it's not art. Like that's just a JPEG. And so I said, okay, well, how about this? Let me take something that I know has value, right? Quote unquote value, right? It is art, which was a Banksy art piece valued about like $90,000, sold from Sotheby's art auction.
So you auctioned that for yourself
No, no, no.
or?
So I bought that from an art gallery here in New York. I then
All
lit
right.
that on fire, turned had Vice News kind of professionally photograph that, turned that into an NFT, and we ended up selling it for about $400,000, which I believe for all of 2021 was the highest average price sale on OpenSea. And I think we're still in the Wikipedia for the word NFT to this day, which is really cool. Yeah. So it was
That's
about the
amazing. So
start of
you
the
you had a
conversation.
good return on that as well, yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Nice. Amazing. And then like did you really set yourself on fire as well?
Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
was
so I
just
did that
recently
last
or?
week. I did that last week for celebrate the upcoming XION launch. The company's called Burnt. I do think that I am a bit of a pyromaniac when it comes to that. So there's a part of it that's just like fun, which is like this is really cool. But then, another part of that which is, it's a good way to capture attention kind of for us, right? I think acting as like a vessel and acting as like a beacon or like a beacon for the future is really cool, and I think we like the symbolism of fire of like the rebirth, and especially given the industry and our message that crypto is effectively a scam and that normal day users can't use crypto because it's impossible for them, and so it was very exciting, and we're excited to kind of get a lot of the official footage out as well.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean every crypto project needs a meme, right? And you're definitely on top of the game there.
Hell yeah, you have to be.
Awesome. Yeah. So like walk us a little bit like what is Zion? Like what are you working on? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So Zion is, a blockchain for regular people, let's call it. We understand that to onboard the next billion users, we need to go to them. And so our entire goal and our entire shtick is really creating a Web2 experience for all the products that deploy on us. And then in addition to just kind of not being completely siloed of an ecosystem and allowing products to kind of take the front line. And I think when you look at where we are and what we're building for, it's, we see our main success in the products that kind of deploy on us, reaching a mainstream audience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then you're looking to basically onboard like mainstream applications building on top of Zion. That's the main goal. So like really kind of mainstream adoption.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Consumer applications.
Yeah. And do you have any applications or like developers that you're working with already
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. I mean, we have an ecosystem
yeah.
of over 150 projects. We just had a hackathon, 60 people. I think there were like 300 submissions. Three of them use the generalized abstraction library or the NPM library. We've been launching, I think we launched a testnet about a month and a half ago. Had over 1 million users and over 12 million transactions. I think we've had 6 projects deploy, and we've been doing a project every week. We continue to do so, and we have a lot in the pipeline, especially as it comes to incubations and projects that we're working with. It's all very exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
And like all of these projects, are they incubated by you or like are
No,
these independent developers? And I mean, yeah, getting 1 million users, that's a lot. Like where they're
it's
coming
definitely
from
not a
and
little.
like
Yeah.
how.
Well, I mean, I think that the easiest thing, right? Like I've been building this industry for 7 years, and for me, it is the first testnet that I've ever been able to have my parents use. You don't need a wallet, right? Like, and this is just a testament to what we're building, right? It is a Web2 experience. I welcome anyone to try to use it. It is a fully Web2 experience. You can do it on any device with enough RAM and internet connection. I say that because I did it on my Xbox. We had people doing it on Vision Pro and stuff. You can't do it on a Nintendo Switch, unfortunately, because there's not enough RAM. However, most devices with enough RAM you can use the testnet on. You don't need, You don't need a private public key. You don't need to do the seed phrases. You don't need to know any XION token. Everything's going to be dollar denominated. It feels like a Web 2 experience. And, it is definitely the impetus of why I think we've seen such easy success, is because we've removed the friction. We've removed the barriers of entry, whereby if I was, say, another chain, I would require people to need to download a wallet. I would require them to need to go to a faucet, claim money for a faucet, save their seed phrase, switch to the testnet network. But in this case, it's easy.
So using the XION testnet means like using an application built on top of the XION testnet, or
Yep.
like just being able to transact or like interact with the
It's only
like sending.
projects. Yeah, it's not like some random back and forth transactions. The way that we kind of account for this is, every user, it's a combination of all the projects that have been deployed on the testnet, and then transaction. That number is derived from the number of kind of unique transactions from the projects, obviously, on the testnet.
Awesome. And
Yeah,
then the magic experience from XION like stems on the generalized abstraction.
correct.
What is that like? Can you break it down for us?
Yeah, I think, generalized abstraction is definitely an umbrella term as it kind of relates to what we've done. And I definitely implore people to check out the white paper if you're interested. But I would say that it's split into three distinct kind of factors. One of them, which is our protocol level generalized abstraction, which kind of the only really enshrined UX opinions on the protocol level, where on the protocol level, yes, you can use an EOA, but predominantly we've made it so that you could also, on the protocol level, be using smart contract accounts, and accounts are more so instances of a contract that can then, on a protocol level, interact, which then divides void of all the fragmentation that kind of comes with the smart contract and the social consensus level, but then allows just for very quick iteration. And so there's a whole sphere that I could talk about for 30 minutes there. And then there's another aspect called parameterized fee layer, which effectively is me saying, okay, I never really want a user to know what gas is. And how do we, sitting down and saying, how do we get this? How do we have this vision where people can just use this in the same way that they can use any Web 2 application? So what our parameterized fee layer is, on like a very baseline basis, is saying anyone can use any token to operate on our chain. It'll eventually sell to XION. But the thing that we wanted to avoid was that really awkward interaction for a new user needing to go to Coinbase and needing to top up their wallet. And then in addition, right, as a two birds, one stone, kind of being able to just use this, right? You don't need to go to a SEX, you don't need to go to a DEX and buy and swap and bridge. We wanted to remove all of that friction. And so whether it's partnerships with checkout.com and Stripe to be able to facilitate credit card and debit card directly for digital assets on chain, or, a partnership with USDC for USD denomination, I would say that the parameterized fee layer on a protocol level basis effectively is just and on a technical basis is just you can use any token. But where that really works in kind of the opinion and the enshrined UX opinion then leads us to saying, okay, well, now we can use USD for the entire chain, right? And we can make it look like people are just using eBay or Etsy or Facebook or something like that, and be able to do this on a hyper scalable level. Then I would say this kind of third part, right, in generalized abstraction is where we call abstracted interoperability. In this kind of capacity, it's very similar to the term that you probably heard a lot of, chain abstraction. And effectively where we aim for that is just saying, we don't think that users should care about the chain, and we use interchain accounts to be able to facilitate, cross-chain accounts. So the winner of this last hackathon, their name was Nomos, they won because they built an application that allowed you to use Talus, the marketplace on Injective, through XION, and you can't even tell.
That's great. Yeah, I mean that's I think the ultimate user experience, that you don't know like which chain are you on and so on.
Exactly.
And in terms of the fees, like does that mean like someone doesn't need to pay fees, or like they get the fees subsidized when they're using it? Or
So there's two types
yeah,
of transactions that we kind of account for on the chain, I would say. The first is boring. The first is if there's no monetary value to it, it just kind of, you're familiar with fee grant in the Cosmos ecosystem?
not
Or
really,
so
no.
the application sponsors the payment, right? And
All right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's one of them, and that's normally when there's free things like a free mint or like a POAP or something that people don't, there's not value attached to it. I think it also gets more interesting when there is value attached to it, and it is, we kind of are able to take a percentage based off of the we're able to take a percentage based off of the total transaction value, similar to an eBay or like an Etsy would with like a service fee, which like, $100, 99.9 goes to the final account. But that's how we get around the really annoying gas issue. But of course, in kind of this capacity, they're, you know, pennies on the dollar for gas fees.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really smart on like just taking a fee from the actual transaction value. Seems very fair. But then if it gets subsidized, then is there like an potential issue around spam or something?
As it's potentially subsidized? Well, I mean, yeah, and I think spam is definitely like one of those things that when you have free things, you always open up the vulnerability for spam, right? And I think depending on what you do, it is on the onus of the product itself, right, to not spam the entire network, right? Because it's on obviously kind of them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Um, how do you see XION in the whole like crypto space and also interacting with like crypto users? Because it seems like you're kind of really targeting people that are entirely new to crypto or like don't even want to have anything to do with it, maybe.
Well, I mean, I think
Um,
users are users,
yeah.
right? Like, I think the way we see ourselves is bringing users, no matter what the creator background is, and I think we allow a total addressable market to exist. There's always going to be the market, right, for people who know crypto and they want to learn that and they want to be a power user. There will always be a market for the power user. I think we're opening up the floodgates for people who don't want to be a power user, want to be a casual user, and I think for us, success for us is success for everyone, especially as we can connect to many chains and we are composable with every chain. We see success in the amount of products that get usage no matter which chain they're on.
So how do you see the path towards like mainstream adoption of crypto and like what role will XION play in that?
I think that Zion should be taking a back seat in a lot of things, right? I think the way that we reach consumer adoption is through the products that can be built on us. And I think, when I always say I see success in the success of the products that build on us, this is exactly what I mean, right? Which is, the way that we're not going to be the ones disrupting the Netflixes of the world or disrupting the whatever the Ubers of the world, whatever it is, right? Like we're providing the foundation for the next internet, and a stronger internet. And it wasn't, and I think it's on the way that we reach the next sect of users is by building products that people actually want. And I think one of the main issues that I've seen in crypto in the many years that I've been in this industry is a lot of these things have been a solution looking for a problem, only marketed to people who know something about crypto. And so I think we've expanded the total addressable market substantially and now allow for genuine solutions to be created for genuine problems that exist in the world and be able to target their market.
Yeah. I mean, there are not many like actual crypto use cases, right? Besides obviously like payments and stable coins. But besides that, I guess there was like some attempts on gaming and so on. Where do you see Xion, like which type of use cases do you think will be utilized from applications building on top of Xion to like really drive adoption?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think that we mostly focus in the way that we kind of, I would say that we didn't originally start as this, but over the past 2 years of kind of building this, we've just kind of seen it. I would say that we tend to see more consumer applications thrive because, like, here's the thing: we've built the easiest user experience in all of crypto, right? There's no doubt about that. But that's not really necessary if you want to go yield farm or go restaking on Pufferfy, right? Like that's not inherently necessary. People don't even like there's a pyramid of people who know what Ethereum is and then know what like a liquid staking token is and then know what restaking is. And it's to be at this point of restaking, you don't you already know a lot about crypto, right? You already have a MetaMask, you already have presumably a lot of Ethereum. And so it's not really relevant for us, right? And so where we do see the benefit is these consumer applications like not necessarily DeFi, but trying to take the concepts of ownership and community and bring them to kind of more of a digital realm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then when we think about like Xion taking a back seat in like the adoption cycle basically and like letting the applications thrive, How do you see the value accrual? Thinking about like, obviously, there was a time when everyone talked about the Fed protocol thesis. I guess now people talk more about the Fed app thesis. And how do you see the value accrual for XION? And then also we can dive a little bit into like the staking, I guess,
Yeah.
because obviously the validators are the ones like running the blockchain. I guess it's a staking and governance token. But yeah, let's go one by one. Like, how do you see the value accrual for XION with like kind of enabling mainstream adoption for a lot of apps? Yeah.
Well, I think allowing any token to be used is going to be important. Like think about it like AWS credits, right? It doesn't I would say like that's the way that I imagine Zion acting is AWS, right? Or it's like a MongoDB, which is okay. And that's what I mean by backseat. Everything's run by it, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? And so there's definitely value in MongoDB. There's definitely value being generated in AWS, but just because it's not this direct, oh, I need to do this, it actually creates more friction to require people to do that. And so by allowing a higher volume of usage that then eventually settles to a Zion token, I think that's far superior than requiring someone to buy the Zion token and then introducing an inherent layer of friction to be able to use anything built on us. So we're definitely going for the economics of scale game over here as it kind of relates to what we do and the friction that we remove. And then, as it of course relates to staking, right? Like as I said, there's always going to be power users, right? There's always going to be validators. And listen, if you're running a staking node, I kind of assume you know a little bit about crypto. It would be really weird if you didn't. And so especially as it relates, like maybe we'll make it easier as time goes on, but we also see Zion as like an iceberg as well. Like, there's a reason we're on the Staking Insider recording podcast right now, right? And it's because we obviously know our audience, right? We know where the developers are, and we know where we are on the iceberg funnel. And so the way there's always going to be power users. Our main business and our main clients are always going to be the developers, but of course, we believe that it's our job to also generate initial usage and bootstrap the network when it comes to users and ease of access and speed to deployment. As it kind of relates to that.
Yeah, awesome. And then I think you're also one of the only blockchains out there that are offsetting the inflation with the actual fees.
Weird to
And
me. I mean, that's weird to me that we're the only ones. It really is.
I think Nia are doing it as well. Nia
Nia probably does
protocol.
it well. Yeah.
Yeah. But apart from that, like, yeah, I wonder why not everyone is doing it actually.
Dude, your guess is probably as good as mine. I think another thing that's interesting is like we do staking as for we do staking on amount staked, not total amount, which I always found to be really really terrible. As like you had like a very normal APY but an insane inflation rate.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So basically you're allowed to have high APYs with a low inflation rate because you base the
Manageable, right?
inflation based on the number of tokens staked.
Exactly, not just like an arbitrary. Because then you have like this layer of fat that's you just look at this and like, what was that decision for? But I mean, to be fair,
So
like I
like,
think it makes sense if you want to assume that all the tokens are being staked because then you get to the same number, right?
yeah. How do you see the economies playing out? Because it seems like you're basically building like kind of consumer layer for people that don't even know about Xion, like they don't have anything to do. So probably they won't be holding any Xion tokens and staking it as well. And then there's kind of the infrastructure layer, validators, crypto users that are kind of running the validators and then maintaining
Yeah.
the blockchain basically. So there will be like two kind of
Well,
interfaces
three. I
basically for
think
people
there's
to
three
int-.
as well, right? Because then you have like I would say the project developers, which kind of sit in between, which and I think we have some interesting mechanics, which you can stake Zion token to effectively cover the gas sponsoring that you're going to be doing, right? And there's going to be a certain number, a certain layer of technical knowledge. Like you don't need to know everything down to kind of pure consensus and mempool level, right? But I do believe that like we want to find people who are very connected in the entertainment industry and want to then build a crypto product, not necessarily a crypto person who is just interested in entertainment. Because there's these are real companies, right? You always want kind of in industry knowledge and you always want industry experience as it comes to building an industry related project. Otherwise, what you tend to find again is like either insular building or a solution looking for a problem.
What are the most exciting projects building on top of XION right now?
There's a ton. I mean, like we have data marketplaces, which is really interesting, and we might be getting some really, really cool names on that, which hopefully comes out in the next 2 weeks. We have, I mean, I like this company called BetFi. It's just it's a cute casino, but you don't know that you're interacting with crypto, right? You also have, a lot of loyalty programs. I'm a big music fan. I think I'm wearing a Rage Against the Machine shirt right now. But I'm a big music fan, and I think I see a lot of like really interesting interpretations of how people think streaming should work and how people think should IP rights for music ownership should work. And I think there's, if we knew what our NBA top shots would be, then we would have just built one product and called it a day. But I think we're here trying to build an ecosystem and making educated bets, and obviously helping people along the way. And the thing is that everyone else's success is our success, which makes a really, really amazing way to operate, where you don't have like this one-sided winner.
Yeah. No, that's great. And yeah, definitely do check out some of these projects. And on the staking side, so basically the people that are investing into XION, or like buying XION tokens and then running validators, maintaining the network, are these the only ones like basically interacting with the XION token then? Because you say, okay, developers and consumers, they basically have little to do with the infrastructure
Have to
directly.
remember that
So,
every transaction and every monetary thing still does settle to Zion as a network token, right? So it may not be, hey, I'm using $5 worth of Zion right now, but it it is saying, or sorry, like here's $5 in Zion. It's $5 technically worth of Zion, right? And that's what's powering everything.
right. Yeah, just abstracted in that
Exactly.
sense. And how do you see the role of validators going forward in XION? Obviously, like, yeah, maintaining kind of all the transactions. Do you see any other potential roles or use cases for validators going forward?
I mean, you're running the network. What do you mean? I would say validators play a crucial role in the operation of the network.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was just thinking about like, obviously, like, for example, in DYDX, there are also like validators are maintaining a decentralized order book. So
Yeah.
I wonder if you had any ideas, like what other like potential roles could validators take on in that space? Obviously, that's kind of like
Well,
very
I mean,
far
here's
out.
the thing. Like, I,
Yeah.
I guess, like for us, like one of the early things is that we wanted to make a very low cost for validators. And this was like one of the main reasons why we didn't run our own bridge, because once you do that, you skyrocket the cost of running validator nodes, right? And I think for us, accessibility is something that's extremely important to us. And we didn't really want to create an environment where it was inaccessible to be a validator, where you needed to run like bare metal or you needed to have some really crazy setup. I think for us, we value having low overhead for validators and be able to kind of facilitate a lot, and have them participate in other ways rather than making a really terrible validator experience. So I would say,
Yeah.
like for us, if we needed to, maybe we would, but I think we as a team kind of lean more towards saying, I think we should make this easier for people, not harder.
Awesome. And how do you see, like, in terms of the number of validators operating on Xion? What are your plans there in terms of the maximum and then expanding?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really see a maximum in sight. I think like we've been in testnet obviously, and so we had some testnet validators. We're obviously going to be expanding that, and like if anyone's been paying attention to the Explorer, we've been actively expanding that. And then I think once we go live mainnet, we're ready to hit the ground running and start seeing what we can get.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, that's exciting. So, like, what's the way to get started with Xion? Like, are there any, like, can you start using it? Can I start?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a million users.
How does it work? Like, how do I get
I
started?
think like the easiest way, definitely go to zion.burnt.com, and there's a little testnet link on there. That'll lead you to one company called Bonus Block who deployed on us. And from there, they definitely operate as like a hub, I would say, of all the projects deploying and all the exciting things that we're working on.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely want to check that out. And if anyone wants to get involved otherwise in Xion, like what's the best way to, yeah, get involved in the ecosystem, either as like with the staking or like as a developer or like just using the chain and yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I would say, for basic news, you want to follow up. Totally, Twitter is the best place for announcements. I think we were just almost about to hit 450,000 followers there. But Discord, I'm in Discord a lot, and we have a team that is extremely active there, from the developer community to the international community, whether it's ambassadors or validators or, hackathon participants. I think there's always someone online willing and ready to help, which is really exciting. But otherwise, I would say, I think we have a Telegram announcements channel, but I would say for everyone, like, as a best first spot, try the testnet, right? See how easy it is. I could sit up here for 27 minutes and 32 seconds, like I've been, and talk about how great the user experience is, but it's one of those things that you can only really believe when you see. And so I welcome everyone. See how easy the testnet is, and just see for yourself of what we're aiming for, the vision, and what we've been working on for the past 2 years.
That's amazing. And yeah, I think that's one of the like super exciting things about the generalized abstraction, that like it makes it super easy for anyone to get in. You don't need any crypto knowledge or something. And you can just experience that. And I guess that's really something that's so much needed, like to really drive real use cases for crypto. So I'm super excited for XION, and yeah, super keen for like how does the timeline look like for you in 2024? Can you share anything there already, or?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely say soon. We're looking for kind of, if not next month, somewhere around there for mainnet. So don't want to. I hate giving dates in this industry because nothing ever works out like they're planned. But
Yeah,
I'll
that's
say I'll give you like a soon and then a TM.
awesome. Cool. But yeah, exciting. Looking forward to it. Definitely going to follow that. And then thanks a lot for being on, Burnt. I really appreciate it. We're going to follow that closely.
Awesome, cool. Thank you for the
Cheers.
time. Cheers.